If the idea of change scares you, don't worry, you're not alone. Listen, change can be hard, but it also can be fun, so keep watching. All right, guys, change is uncomfortable. Yes, we're all comfortable with what's familiar and what we know. But in order to make your life better, I want you to embrace change. So in this episode, we're going to talk to a couple who had some pretty unhealthy money habits, and they changed them literally overnight, like that. It's crazy. Now, if you're looking for a change in your job, I've got some great news. We have radio talk show host and career expert Ken Coleman, who is coming on to talk about the best ways for you to land a job you love. But before we start into all of that, let's just say it out loud again. Change is hard. I think probably one of the biggest changes for me to adapt to was motherhood. If I talk to some couples, they say that marriage was like really hard, but having kids was easy. Or you talk to some people like, oh no, marriage was really easy, kids was hard. For Winston and I, marriage was really easy. We got married, we had 5 years of marriage together before we had Amelia, and it was so much fun. I mean, yes, we had our bumps in the road and our fights and all that, but like overall, like we had so much fun. We just clicked off the bat, Winston and I, and it was a great 5 years. So I'm pregnant 5 years later, and I will never forget this moment. I was decorating our Christmas tree. I was having Amelia in April, so I was like 5 months pregnant. And I'm sitting there decorating the Christmas tree, and I just start crying. Blame it on the hormones, whatever you want. But I was so sad. I was so sad. And Winston was like, babe, what's wrong? And I was like, just realized that this is the last Christmas that we're gonna have together. Like just you and me. Like this baby's coming in 4 months. And like, it just makes me really sad that it's not gonna be us anymore. And I go on this whole tangent, and he's like, oh, okay, it's gonna be okay, Rachel, it's gonna be okay. Because truly what I was feeling in that moment was like, man, is this change going to be worth it? Like everyone says having a kid is so wonderful and so great, and they wouldn't change it for anything. But were they lying to me? Like all these years, is that true? And that's what I was feeling like this change, it's gonna be so hard, and is it really gonna be that great? And what's so funny is fast forward to April 10th at about 2:32 in the morning when I met and saw Amelia Jane Cruze for the first time. All of those fears, all of those thoughts, it's amazing. It just disappeared. And it's like, I look at her now and I'm like, if I knew it was her that I was pregnant with, I'm like, I probably would have had her like a few years sooner, honestly. But the truth is change, it can be scary, it can be hard, but if the change is for the better, you guys, it is worth it. But it is up to you. You have to realize this. Now, people change at different paces. Some of you change quickly. You're just like overnight, you figure out something. So you read a keto diet on the internet, you're like, oh, I want to be keto, and you're just keto for the rest of your life. I mean, like some people, they can just change quickly. Some people, it takes some time. You have to internalize it. You have to research it. Maybe you change a little bit the next day to the next. It's a progress, but whichever type you are, if you don't like where you are right now with your money specifically, because that's what the Rachel Cruze show is all about, is your life and your money, then you're gonna have to do something different. You're going to have to change. So if you wanna see change in your life, if you wanna see change in your bank account, in your career, in your relationships, you're going to have to do some work. And it can be really hard, okay? Again, change is hard. It is not comfortable. The sad thing is only 8% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually succeed, 8%. So we all see that sticking to a goal, it can be hard, but what you have to realize is you have to set yourself up for a quick win. If you wanna change your money situation, we always tell people to start with baby step 1. We have 7 baby steps. If you're unfamiliar with them, click the link in the show notes. But the very first one is a $1,000 emergency fund. The very first thing I want you to do. Now, this is gonna be the easiest step, but it's gonna be the hardest step. It's the easiest step because it's just $1,000. Like you can do this, okay? You can sell some stuff, you can cut things out of your budget, you can not go out to eat. I mean, you can do some things to get $1,000 quickly, and that's what I want you to do. You get it fast. But it's the hardest step because you're saying that you're going to engage in a process that you've never done before, and it can be scary and it can be intimidating, and you're going to change the way that you view money. But once you take that step and you get that quick win, the motivation starts coming. So after baby step 1, you move on to baby step 2, which is paying off all of your debt using the debt snowball. Now, this is the most effective way to pay off debt. And some of you are in baby step 2, you're paying off debt now. Some of you have done this. And so it's so fun to talk to people in the process. And so this family coming up that you are about to see, I am so excited about because they are completely free from debt. Their story is incredible. From where they started to where they are now is where I want you all to be. And some of you actually may be familiar with her. She is Debt Kickin' Mom on Instagram and YouTube, and she's incredible. She and her husband decided to change everything with their money literally overnight. So I can't wait for you to hear their story.
I just remember being just in shock.
I could not sleep. I was so stressed.
Felt like my hands were tied. I couldn't do what we wanted to do.
You just don't realize how quickly it all can just kind of pile on top of itself. We struggled a lot with keeping up with the Joneses, and we just bought whatever we wanted when we wanted. I had been really taking charge of the finances. He worked, I was a stay-at-home mom.
I was pretty passive when it comes to this stuff.
He really didn't even understand the trouble that we were in. The moment when we decided that we had to do something was during that vacation that we took right around Christmas time.
It was a terrible vacation. It was to buy a timeshare. Yeah.
But we did it to get a deal. Right after the time sales pitch, I got a text notification from my bank telling me that we had maxed out our last credit card. That was definitely my sick and tired moment. It was that night that I sat with the hotel notepad and wrote down and listed out all of our debts. And that was the first time that I realized exactly how much debt that we had. And the next morning I had to tell him.
I really didn't know at first, but we were in that much debt, so it was kind of shocking to me. And in that moment, I decided I shouldn't be passive anymore. And I told my parents about it. That was a hard phone call.
They had been Financial Peace University coordinators, and they bought it for us that day. I didn't have accountability when I was handling the finances on my own. Now in our marriage, it's more about like, well, we're in this together.
We talk to each other more. We have a lot of dream meetings now.
Yeah.
We talk about where we want to be in 5, 10 years.
And it's just amazing to just dream. I think there's so much hope between us, and we talk more about our future.
But we're so much more closer now.
All right, you guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Sharing your story. This is so fun. So you guys are kind of toward the end of your debt-free journey, which is why you're here in Nashville. But take me back years before that. What did you guys look like before you started this journey?
Yeah, we were definitely the average family who was living paycheck to paycheck. And I was a stay-at-home mom, and taking care of them was, a big job. And I was also in charge of the finances, and he went to work and made the money. And then I stayed home and tried to run the household. And truthfully, I just didn't really know what I was doing. Nobody really teaches you how to do that.
So you were feeling the stress. Were
Yeah.
you feeling it, Johnny? Did you feel it?
Not at first.
Okay.
I knew something was up. I didn't know exactly how much debt we were in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so take me to that point
Yeah.
on vacation.
Yes, it was a low moment. I was up pretty much for most of the night. And I told him the next morning, I told him about the fact that we had maxed out our credit card and I had to open up a new one. And when we get home, we need to talk.
What's the feeling before you're having to have this conversation? What did that conversation look like?
Yeah, I had felt completely I felt dishonest, and I knew that I needed to have a sit-down style conversation. You had always let me do the budget on my own and never really asked questions about it. And truthfully, that's why I was ashamed to even tell him that I wasn't handling it the right way.
Which in a sense, there is this natural pull for couples to say, okay, well, you're good at this, so just do it. That's kind of your gifting. So I'm over there, you got it, no big deal. That's a very normal way. Yeah. But sometimes to the person that has the responsibility put on them, male or female, there's almost this sense of abandonment, or the sense of a loneliness almost of that you're in this space by yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm more of the free spirit. I actually lean more on your side, and you're more Winston in our marriage. Yeah. But I constantly have to stay engaged, and that's something to always remember. How you're wired is important to realize. But for both couples to be, both of you to force working together, which you have now. Yeah. So talk me through now, what did it look like? What changed within your marriage when you guys started communicating, actually talking about money?
Yeah.
We're on the same page where, I'm learning how she thinks, and then she's learning how I think, and what I want to do and what she wants to do. It's another way of engaging with my wife.
Yeah.
So we have regular meetings about what's going on with the budget, and we have date nights where we have dream meetings where we're going to be in about 5 years, 10 years.
So there's a lot of guys out there, because your dynamic is very normal, where a lot of the times it is the woman we see that's taking, control of the money and all of that. Even surveying my audience, 83% of women said that they do the budget alone. What would you say to a husband out there who just thinks, well, my wife has it taken care of?
God calls us to pursue our wives, so you got to take the journey with her. You got to do it.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
So you guys have been on this journey. How long did it take you to pay off this debt?
It took us 3 years.
Okay.
Exactly 3 years.
For $77,000.
Mostly on one income.
Yeah.
Which is just, that's incredible, you all. I mean, seriously. So someone sitting out there that has maybe $60,000 or whatever the amount is, what were things that you guys did along the way that really, really helped accelerate it or just kept that marathon going?
So I realized that as a stay-at-home mom and being in charge of the grocery shopping and the activities that I did with the kids and stuff like that, I really did have kind of a lot of control in cutting expenses. We might not be able to raise our income to kind of figure out this difference that we're having, but if we can cut our expenses, we can have a debt snowball. Because at first, it was really hard to imagine how we were going to be able to create that debt snowball. We cut all the things that you're thinking off the top of your head, you know?
Yep.
But then it was even further. It was like, how can we save money on kids' clothes? How can we, save money on birthdays? And it was like everything that came up that's an expense. It was not an excuse to spend money. It was motivation to figure out how can I do this with low expenses, keeping our expenses low. And we
got creative too with a lot of family outings. If we wanted to do something fun as a family, we'd find something free.
Yeah, we had to. I feel like when the focus became less about distractions, what can we do to distract the kids or keep them occupied? It was more like, what can we do to just spend time together as a family? And that costs no money. And so it definitely brought us all closer.
Well, you guys are absolutely remarkable and inspiring. The fact that you're doing this with 4 kids and you've done it. I mean, you've paid off the debt. So thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Guys, is that not just amazing? I mean, for real, they are incredible. Okay, make sure to like or subscribe to my channel because I'm gonna have Debt Kickin' Mom back on again to show us how she shops at Aldi and feeds her family of 6 for only $125 a week. Yeah, that's right. It's incredible. All right, coming up next, let's talk about your job. Yes, your career. Okay, this is something that a lot of people want to change or they're not happy with. So whether you're trying to look for a new job or you're wanting to improve your current job situation, then you're in for a treat because Ken Coleman is coming up next to give us some great tips and encouragement in this part of our lives. Family is one of the most important parts of my life, and making sure everyone is taken care of is a top priority. That includes more than just meal planning, entertaining the kids, and taking care of all the day-to-day needs. That's why I recommend having life insurance. Now, when you're shopping for it, you might wonder, should I get term life insurance or whole life insurance? I always recommend term insurance. It's going to save you tons of money that you can put towards paying off your debt and funding your emergency fund. For a 30-year-old male, a 20-year, $250,000 policy would cost just $15 a month for term life. However, the same policy for whole life would be $190 per month. That is a huge difference. Winston and I use Zander Insurance. They do all the work for you by finding you the best prices and options customized to your needs. To learn more, call Zander today or go to Zander.com. Because that's who we trust to take care of our family. All right, Ken, thanks for being here.
It's so good to be here. I
You're
love
back.
this.
You're back.
Always good. Such a beautiful set. great energy.
Oh, thank you.
Feels very nice.
Everything's just happy.
Yes,
right?
very happy, very well lit.
Positive.
Yes, very positive.
Okay, I'm really pumped for you because your new book, The Proximity Principle, is out today.
Yes.
Which is so crazy. Okay,
Yes.
so tell everyone about it because this whole idea and the subject of this book I just love so much.
Yeah. Well, we all know that we long to do something that we really enjoy, work that we love, but there's a lot of fear and doubt. And this principle, timeless through the ages, that men and women throughout all of history have used to be successful, and that is, if I'm around the right people and I'm in the right places, then opportunity will come to me. Not
That's
this
interesting.
impossible journey to find a break. No. If I'm around the right people and in the right places, then I'm getting a chance to learn, I'm getting a chance to do and connect. So it's a fun and very practical manual so that no longer are you worried about what my next steps are.
Yes, I love that because there's a lot of people watching that they work. They're full-time. They may be in a job that they're like, man, I'm in it for 12 more months so we can get out of debt, or maybe I feel stuck here, but I want to move. I want to do something different. I want to wake up and feel like I have purpose and meaning with the job I'm going to. Because how many hours does someone work in their lifetime?
90,000 plus hours is what the average American spends in the job over their work life, which is crazy if you think about that.
Yeah, so putting into practice, that idea of taking those hours and actually doing something that you love with it. And then the whole idea, I love this because at the end of the day, people are
That's
what
right.
bring you along. So do you find that that's true?
That's absolutely true. We know now that the average college grad is coming out of school and they're overqualified because of the degree. And we think, well, go to school, Junior, go to school, Susie. And when you come out with a degree, life is just going to present itself, and it's not true. And so the act of getting around people that are doing what I want to do or in places where it is happening gives me confirmation.
Okay, so Ken, give me an example of someone that's using the proximity principle really well.
Yeah, I'll tell you about a lady that called in the show just the other day, and she had a good sense that she wanted to use her top talents of creativity, and she was a planner by nature. And so I began to ask her questions, and she had interest in both interior decorating and event planning. So she wasn't quite sure, and she's getting locked up. Fear, doubt, how do I confirm? I told her, hey, I want you to find somebody through a friend of a friend of a friend, whatever, who is actually running an interior design business. So take that lady or person, whoever it is, to coffee, tea, lunch, and show up ready to learn. Now, that's a person. The other place that I told her she needs to get to is, hey, go start hanging out at local event planner meetings or conventions, whatever. Go to some of these things. Go online. Proximity can happen on YouTube and on a blog. Who are some successful event planners, whether again, locally, online? Get where that is happening. In getting information, you're going to get clarity. Clarity leads to confidence. Oh, this is more of what I want to do. I want to go over here with event planning. I don't want to do interior decorating. And so all of a sudden, you have confidence, but you've made a connection. And that person is going to say, hey, let me tell you a couple other people you need to know and be around. That's how you use the proximity principle that leads you down the path. And before you know it, opportunity finds you, and you're doing work that you love.
Yes, and it's amazing how many times we've done like a TV show or something, and I'm talking to even just an intern, and they're running coffee, and like, what do you want to do? They're like, I want to be an anchor. And like, I'm sticking here.
Great example. They're in the right place. And by being in the place where what I want to do is happening broadcasting, now they're meeting producers, they're meeting anchors.
And it's crazy because I'm like, you come back 5 years later and they've moved up to be maybe a producer. And then a lot of the anchors you hear were produced, like you just see it. I'm like, gosh, that's so smart versus going to school and then be like, well, I guess I just didn't get that great first job, so I'm going to have to go do something else. So my last question is this a reality, this idea, if you are maybe 40 years old, you have 2 kids, you're working a different career, but you've always wanted to be in X career. Is this still possible for someone?
It's absolutely possible. What you think is this unbelievable, hit the rewind button and go this crazy journey backwards is not the case. For me, I was 32 years old, so I'm not just writing about this, I did this. And I started with a broadcasting class, 6 weeks, with a bunch of young guys who all thought I was an instructor for the first 3 weeks and called me sir.
You're so old.
That's exactly right.
Mr. Coleman.
That's right. Well, at 32 to a 20-year-old, you are.
Yes.
But here's the deal. That's the beginning for me because I learned the fundamentals and I was able to learn, do, and connect. And that very first broadcasting school led to so many opportunities for me. Now, it took me 7 years. So I'm not selling microwaves, Rachel. I'm selling crock pots. But if you practice the proximity principle, opportunity will find you and you can get where you want to be.
That's so great, Ken. Okay, guys, the proximity principle. Make sure to check it out by Ken Coleman. Get it at kencoleman.com, wherever books are sold, and people can find you where else?
Well, Ken Coleman Show on Instagram, Ken Coleman Show Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel as well. So great places to connect with us. And we have a lot of free resources beyond the book at kencoleman.com.
And podcasts.
Yes.
Right,
of course, we do podcast the show. It's a daily radio show, Sirius XM. Thank you.
There you go.
And so we have that. And that's every day on channel 121. And we lead into the Dave Ramsey Show, as a matter of fact. And then we podcast that show daily. So thanks for having me.
Everywhere, Ken. I love it. Guys, go check it out. It's a great book. I just love Ken's advice. He really is. He's so great and so smart when it comes to this stuff. Now, I wanted to hear from you guys to see if you've had a great experience from making a change in your career. So I asked my Facebook community and we got so many responses. I couldn't believe it. So here were just a couple. Daniel D said, I was in the restaurant industry before working as a junior sous chef before I left in 2016 to become a union electrician. At first, it was to get my weekends back. But in doing so, I met the woman of my dreams, got married, and now we have a 14-month-old daughter who's the light of our life. Daniel, I love it. Linda said, I worked 8 years as an elementary school music teacher. I decided to change my life completely after my divorce, and I went back to school and became a software engineer. I loved getting to play with computers, and I get paid for it. Sandy D said, I went from an office manager to a pricing audit clerk. Practically the same pay, stressed down 90%. Happy hearts. So great, you guys. I love seeing that. See, change can be so, so good no matter what part of your life. Now, I want to thank you guys so much, seriously, for watching this episode. I hope you feel motivated to make some changes with your life and your money. And now thanks to Ken for coming on. And if you want to start reading his new book, the first chapter, for free, or anything else we talked about in this episode, click the link in the show notes. And thanks to Angela and Johnny for sharing their amazing story. Now make sure you subscribe to my YouTube and my podcast, because next episode is all about your personality type and what that says about how you handle money. It's gonna be great. And guys, remember, do not be afraid to make a change and take control of your money and create a life you love.